Discussion: The Characters, Themes and Summary of Saint Joan by George Bernard with original textual quotations. George Bernard Shaw's Saint Joan is a profound exploration of historical and philosophical themes presented through the life of Joan of Arc. Characters: Joan of Arc. The protagonist, a visionary peasant girl who becomes a military leader. Joan is portrayed as confident, deeply religious, and pragmatic. Quote, "I hear voices telling me what to do. They come from God." Her unwavering belief in divine guidance and her ability to inspire action mark her as extraordinary. Robert de Baudricourt, a local lord who initially mocks Joan but ultimately provides her support. Quote, "She has made me drink water like a horse, and eat bread like a hermit." The Dauphin, Charles VII. A weak and insecure heir to the French throne who relies on Joan to solidify his claim. Quote, "I want to be a real king, but I'm afraid of being laughed at." The Inquisitor, a representative of the Church who leads Joan's trial. He embodies institutional orthodoxy. Quote, "The Church is the soul of the world's body, and you would have us amputate it to save it." Cauchon, the Bishop of Beauvais who oversees Joan's trial, torn between his duty and sympathy for Joan. Quote, "You are pride, obstinacy, and disobedience. You are a rebel against the Church." Themes: Faith versus institution. The play contrasts Joan's direct connection to God with the Church's rigid hierarchy. Quote, "You think that life is all easy because you see the beginning and the end of it. But if you had to strain your eyes to see what lies beyond the end, you would go mad." Nationalism and patriotism. Joan's efforts to unite France highlight the emerging concept of national identity. Quote, "France is for the French, England for the English."
Gender roles and feminism. Joan challenges traditional gender roles by stepping into male-dominated spheres. Quote, "Women are the weaker vessel. The vessels shall not fail me." Martyrdom and heroism. The play examines Joan as a martyr whose death elevates her as a symbol of justice. Quote, "To suffer in silence is the great lesson of life." The conflict between progress and conservatism. Joan's visions of a better world clash with entrenched systems. Quote, "Every woman gives birth to the future, that is her pain and her joy." Summary. George Bernard Shaw's play Saint Joan, 1923, is a dramatized account of the life of Joan of Arc, blending historical facts with Shaw's own philosophical insights. The play is notable for its exploration of individualism, faith, nationalism, and societal change. Here's a summary of the play. Act 1. The play opens in 1429 at the castle of Robert de Baudricourt in France. Joan, a simple peasant girl, convinces him to grant her command of troops to support the Dauphin, Charles, in his claim to the French throne. She claims divine guidance and inspires belief through her determination and charisma. Act 2. At Chinon, Joan meets the Dauphin. Initially skeptical, Charles is moved by her conviction. She persuades him to let her lead the French army, and her military success at Orleans cements her reputation as a savior of France. Act 3. Joan's leadership and faith lead to the crowning of Charles as King of France in Reims. Despite her triumphs, her growing influence and unconventional behavior attract suspicion from the church and state. They view her as a threat to their authority. Act 4. Joan facilitates Charles's coronation in Reims, fulfilling her divine mission. However, her insistence on continuing the war to expel the English entirely alienates some of her supporters, including the archbishop and high-ranking nobles, who view her as dangerous and disruptive. Scene 5. Joan is captured by the Burgundians, French allies of the English, and sold to the English. She is accused of heresy and witchcraft, partly due to her claims of divine voices and her defiance of traditional gender roles. Her enemies see her as a threat to political and religious order. Scene 6. Joan faces trial before an ecclesiastical court. Despite her eloquent defense, she is found guilty of heresy for refusing to submit entirely to the Church's authority. She is sentenced to death and burned at the stake. Even in death, Joan remains steadfast in her beliefs, declaring her faith in God and her mission. Epilogue. Set in 1920, nearly 500 years after Joan's death, the epilogue depicts her posthumous rehabilitation. A church court has declared her innocent, and she is canonized as a saint. However, her spirit questions whether humanity is truly ready to embrace her ideals of individualism and justice.